Welcome back to Behind the Print podcast, where we feature industry leaders and uncover the creative minds and their businesses within the world of professional printing. Our mission is to provide you with inspiring, actionable resources that elevate your business projects and accelerate your journey to excellence in profit and print. Today's episode is with the company I Dream of France, and I'm here today with the founder and owner, Jean-Michel.
Bonjour.
Hey, so can you just start by telling us the story behind I Dream of France? What inspired you to create it?
We've been in business since 2008, so about 16 years. And before that, I had a different job where I used to travel all the time. I was on the road, all the time. And I started a family, and my wife and I had a little girl who turned out to have a disability. So my traveling became a problem. So we had to figure something. There was no way I could just change things and be close to home. So we brainstormed and tried to find another way to make a living. And so we thought of different things. And the one thing I remembered is a friend of mine worked in a shop in the south of France. And the shop was selling the kind of products that we do here. And he always told me how tourists would grab the stuff by the handful to put in their suitcase. And especially Americans just love the products that they sold. And I'm talking about tablecloth, kitchen towels, that kind of things from Provence, from the southeast of France. And so I thought about it, and I was thinking, what if there's a need in the US, since Americans seems to love the stuff. Since we're here, we could import it and sell it locally. So we started looking online and found out that there was a few stores around the US that was doing that. None in our region here, in Southern California and in Orange County. So we decided, why not, try to make this a go. So we're not sure exactly how to. Things happen. We didn't have a business plan or anything structured like that. We kind of just went by. We're not sure if we wanted to have an actual brick and mortar or be online, and we decided to do both. This way we could see how things would go. So we did. We started an online business, which was a lot easier in those days than it is now. There was a lot less competition. And then we also found a little space in the little downtown close to where we are. So we started both, and things started picking up. The brick and mortar actually started picking up better at first because we were in an area where people would walk around and they just, stumble on our store and they would see what we had. Online was a little more difficult because there's a lot of competition and you basically need people to search for you. And when you're brand new, if your listeners know about SEO, when you're brand new, it's really hard to be noticed. You're usually on page 3 on Google and nobody ever sees you. But eventually, things started picking up also online, and we moved to a larger space, still, brick and mortar. But the online really was growing much faster than the in-person retail. At some point, it looked like we needed to move to a warehouse because we needed the space. So we did that, I believe, in 2013. We ended up going to a business park, which we're still in. We're different unit, but we're still in the same business park here. And so we got a warehouse, so we had much more space to have more inventory. And we've been online ever since, and we've, never really looked back. So that's the story behind I Dream of France.
Wow, that's so interesting how you started with the brick and mortar and the online store, and both of them took off. You needed a warehouse, and now your website, from what I see, does very well. It's a really good one. So who is your ideal customer? Who's shopping for I Dream of France products?
So there's different customers, obviously. I think probably the most common customer for us is somebody who already knows our product because they found it in France. So we sell mostly fabric products, mostly tablecloth and things that go with tablecloth like napkins, table runners, placemats, that kind of stuff. And we sell also a lot of kitchen towels. And as I was saying earlier, people go to Provence and they find those in little boutiques there or on outdoors market. Those things are sold a lot at outdoors markets there. And they buy them, they come back here. Sometimes they don't buy it. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know. And they come back to the States and then maybe they want more or maybe they regret not buying it. And so they do a search and then they find us. The product we have are the same exact product you could find there. We don't make anything here. We don't make our own stuff. We just import from the same exact companies in France. So a lot of people will find us. For example, they bought a tablecloth 10 years ago and they want to replace it or they want another one. They'll look at the label on it and they'll see the name. They'll put that in Google and then they find us. So that's the most, I would say that's the most common customers we get.
That's really cool. You had mentioned the customers who decide not to buy in France and then come back and regret their decision and then look you up and find you online. So tell me, how do you use print with your website?
So we really only use the catalog. We have a few other things. We have some business cards, things like that. But we've done some flyers in the past. But really the big print things the thing that we use being online is the catalog. It took us a long time to decide to have one. It was 2019. I used to have customers asking all the time, do you have a catalog? Do you have a catalog? And I'd say no, because we're online. You can just go to the website. Everything is there. We don't need a catalog. But then I started thinking, I like catalogs myself. I like paper catalogs. There's things you can find and ways you can find things in a catalog that you can't online. For example, if you go online, usually you find the products you're looking for. You're looking for a specific product, you do a search, you get to a website, maybe you do a search on that website and you find it, and then you buy it and that's it. But when you get a paper catalog, you start flipping through the pages and you see things, you're like, oh, I didn't know this existed. Oh, look at this. And all of a sudden it opens up the company, and you see more things that they do. So my wife and I started thinking about it in 2019 and thought, maybe, if people have asked us now, maybe we should do it. So I started asking people I knew had catalogs, who they used. Those two people that we deal with that had some nice catalogs, and I asked them, and both of them referred us to Printing Center USA. I realized, by the way, that we had dealt with companies before doing print, but many of them do not do catalogs. Catalogs is kind of a separate thing. There's not many companies that do that. So I went to your website and started looking around, and I actually really enjoyed the website because I like to do things myself when I go to a website like this. I don't like to have to request something and then somebody gets back to me. And here I could just play around, put how many pages I wanted and what kind of paper I wanted and quantity, and boom, give me a price. And I knew exactly what to do. There's even the editor where I could actually do the catalog if I wanted to directly online. So 2019 is when we got our first catalog, and we started shipping them in 2020. So how effective was it? I can't tell, because 2020 was also the pandemic. So things changed dramatically. Good for our business. We had a lot more sale. Right about the same time as we were sending the first catalog. So it was hard to tell which one was responsible the most for. But anyway, we've kept it ever since. Every year, we normally do 2 prints every year, one in January and the one in the summer. And people really like it. There is actually people leaving reviews on our website for the catalog. So I'm really happy. I've always been happy. That's about the only thing we do as far as print these days.
Right. So tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges you face within your business?
Well, getting the customers' attention, I would say. Finding new customers. So there's the customers. It's funny because there are customers looking for us. I get that all the time. People will call, and when we had the store, it was the same thing. People will call me on the phone and be like, I've been looking for this tablecloth and I had no idea, you were there. And I'm like, we've been here for 16 years. And I'm not criticizing because I think it's very normal. It's really difficult sometimes to find what you're looking for, and it might be out there, but you can't find it. So SEO is obviously the big thing for that. And then I guess a bigger challenge is I think a lot of people would like our products if they knew it existed. One of our, I would say, signature product is the tablecloths that are protected, are coated, as we say, with acrylic. So you can wipe them off directly on the table and they don't look like they're plastic or anything. They are actually cotton. And people love these things once they find them. But the majority of people have never heard of this. And people with little small children, for example, who tend to make a mess on the table, really benefit from that. So how to reach people who don't know that you have this cool product is a big challenge. We have like Facebook ads for this, trying to reach people and, try to grab their attention and, stop what they're doing and maybe looking at that. That's the second one. The third thing I would say is 99% of the people or more have never heard of our company. Telling people that it's safe to shop with us is another challenge. You have a website that people have never heard of. They come to it, they see products that they like, but should I put my credit card in? Am I going to get the product? Is this a scam? So this is it's always been a problem, and it's a constant thing. I think the catalog actually helps with this because I think having a catalog shows that you didn't start yesterday. You are an established company. You have an actual catalog of products that you have. You don't just sell things that one thing this week and something else the next week. So I think catalog gives us legitimacy on that. So we try to push that also on the website so people can see that we are real. So I think those are the biggest challenges. There's also cash flow, obviously, is always for any business. We have to have a decent size inventory because you never know what people are going to buy. All of a sudden, everybody wants the same thing, and we have no idea why. And we don't have enough. And because a lot of the stuff we get, most of the stuff we get comes from France, we have to, order in advance. It's can't just get it here the next day. So we have to have a certain amount of inventory. So that's another challenge, but it's been fun.
That's so interesting. So on the flip side, what advice would you give somebody starting a small business like yours with linens or just tablecloths, things that are kind of in a niche area that not a lot of people know about or are searching for?
I would say research the product and research who else is selling it, what price, who are you going to get the product from? Is this something that's just a fad, or is it something that, like, our stuff is, we have some of the designs we've had it for 16 years. So not all of them, we try to change things, but some of them, it's a very stable product. It's been around for a long time. The style doesn't really change. So that's another thing. I would make sure that it's not something that changes, that might change, quickly. And how much competition you have, because nowadays, especially if you're starting online, you look around and there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of lookalike things that might be inferior to the product that you have, but might come from China or something that might be much cheaper, and people might just go for it just because it's not the real deal, but it's a lot cheaper. So I research the product, make sure you can actually get the product also reliably, and not have just one supplier, because you never know what can happen, and your business can fall if one supplier closes and it's your biggest one. So that would be my
That's good. That's good advice. I agree with that. Doing your research, asking around, looking at your competitors, those are all great places to start. Has there been a specific instance with a customer experience or possibly a product that has been your favorite and just stood out to you?
Well, the acrylic coated tablecloth is probably, when we started the business, as I said earlier, we had a small child, and when we realized that we could just wipe the tablecloth after a meal. It was like, what? I'm from France, but I'm not from Provence. And these products are very particular to Provence. If you're from another region of France, you may never have seen them, which is weird. But and so that's probably the product that stands out the most to me, just because it's so practical. But it's also great quality. It looks great, so you don't have to give up anything. And within that, then the round tablecloth that we sell, if your listeners want to take a look, the round tablecloth that we sell are just beautiful. They're just spectacular. So
For sure, you guys be sure to check them out. Check them out on their website or get yourself a free catalog.
yeah,
And
oh, it's free.
exactly. So you might as well just order it because there's
Mhm.
definitely going to be something for you. There's tons of designs, tons of different items that you can select, and it's all at a great price
Oh,
and
thank you.
authentic.
Thank you.
So tell me, if you weren't at work, what would you be doing?
I would stay away from work. That's the first thing. I've really tried. This was not really the case when I started, and I would kind of work whenever. And then I realized that with a family, especially, it's very important to have 1 or maybe 2 days a week where you just disconnect from the business and you just do something else. I like to spend time with family. I like to be home with my family. We do a lot of that. We like to also just go somewhere, walk around somewhere. We live in Southern California. There's a lot of places around here that are just spectacular, and we just go explore a little bit. And I like working with my hands, so I love going into my garage and use tools and do things that just disconnects my brain completely from all the trouble of the business and all that stuff. So that's about it.
Yeah, that sounds very freeing, very releasing, just being away from work, hanging out at home or out in the garage doing something creative.
That's it.
So tell me, where can our listeners find your products, follow you, or get a free catalog?
The best place is our website, idreamoffrance.com. That's the mothership. You can, find everything there. You can find the phone number, the email, all that stuff. The email is bonjour, as in hello in French, at idreamoffrance.com. We have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all those are I Dream of France. YouTube is a little more complicated. It's on our website. If you go to our website, you can find the social media there. So there's a link on our website to order the catalog, and it's if you're in the US, it's completely free. So that's
Cool.
where you find us.
Perfect. Well, you guys heard him. Check him out on the website at idreamoffrance.com. Get yourself a free catalog. Check them out on social media. See what all their products are because I'm sure you'll find something you like. But that's a wrap on another episode of Behind the Print podcast. Thanks to our listeners for joining us as we have explored the artistry and innovation of the printing world. Remember, having a strong vision, building the right strategy, and using tools like print to amplify your message will make your brand stand out from the crowd. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to stop by printingcenterusa.com and get yourself a free sample pack to share with your fellow business enthusiasts. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying and remember, there's always more to discover behind the print.
Thank you.